Hello, you should have just received a little red testament from your school. It's come from an association called Good News for Everyone. It used to be called the Gideons, and we give New Testaments to school children. We put Bibles in hotel magazines and other places because we think the contents of this little red book are very important and everybody should get the opportunity to read it. So that's why you've received it. What I want to do is to show you on the inside, you'll find a place to put your name and the date. They all look exactly the same on the outside. If you put your name and the date, it becomes uniquely yours and it won't be lost or mixed up when you want to, at the end of the day. You can take them home if the school want you to use them at school. Of course, that's fine, but it belongs to you. And when you leave school, particularly if you get it at the end of year six, take it with you. It fits in your pocket, goes in a suitcase. So if you go off to university or wherever you travel or whatever the rest of your life is, you've got a little red book. And many people do, they access it and use the readings in here to help them and support them in times of need. All I wanted to do was try and briefly explain to you why we do it. And to do that, I'm going to screen share and I'm going to share this picture, which if you if I'd shown it you in the school, I would have asked you what it was, and you would have hopefully told me it was a whale, and somebody would have probably told me it was a humpback whale. It's a fairly old humpback whale because you can see the barnacles that are on the whale, and they get them as they get older. And if I told you that I took that picture myself on a special holiday for my 50th wedding anniversary, where we were in Canada, a friend in Vancouver took us whale watching, and we had a pod of 6 or 7 humpback whales came and swam around even under the boat, made the boat rock a bit for about an hour and a half. That's as good as it gets. And that whale came straight up that close. I was able to take it just with an ordinary camera lens, and we sent them off for them to use afterwards. Pretty impressive. We was wonderful. Um, Show you the next picture, and that is the whale's tail. I'm not sure it's the same whale, but it was one of the pod of the whales there. And the reason that we had and used the whale's tail is that we were told when we were there, we didn't realize that a whale's tail equals the whale's fingerprint. And they were very interested in the whales in the whale's tails because these little grooves apparently along the edge of the whale's tail are just like a fingerprint, and they could identify which whales were in the pod or in the school, if you remember the old collective noun. And they wanted to know which whales were there as part of their research into the ecology and the whales that are living and moving up and down the west coast of Canada. So we sent our whales tails in for them to look at. It would provide evidence, and evidence is the word that I'm looking for to work through this little presentation. So evidence. So we have our fingerprint. Um, all fingerprints, you would tell me, are unique. Everyone is different. Even identical twins have different fingerprints. So it's a way of identifying you, used in evidence in courts and to all sorts of other places because fingerprints, as we've said, are unique. Um, they can be used these days. People use them, don't they, for opening mobile phones and doing all sorts of other things, which are part of identification these days. And as we've said, they're used in evidence in the court. They first started to be used in Scotland Yard about 1860. So we have our fingerprint. We go to the next picture, and that one is you will tell me it's DNA. Most people guess DNA before I even get there. But DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, is what it's called. That was a question that I usually ask. Now and again, somebody knows, but I had to do genetics as part of my training as a dentist, and we learnt a little bit about DNA. That's the double helix molecule that makes up your DNA, your chromosomes, which you get from your parents, which makes you you, and your DNA is unique as you are unique and special, and it's your DNA that makes you you. And you will look as I look. If I look at in the mirror, I see you. I'm quite like my dad and quite like my brother. That's where we get our DNA from. DNA first to be discovered University of Leicester in the 1960s. 60s, so 100 years later, but used in evidence, which is really good. I'm going to stop screen sharing a minute and then come back again. There we are. Your little red book. If I was in school, I would ask you how old are the letters and the Gospels in the New Testament? And the answer, and usually I get told because we live in 2025 now, is that they are 2000 years old, 2000 AD or 2025 AD. So they've been there a long time. It's a very old thing, letters and gospels that we're reading. And the Psalms and the Proverbs, which are in the back, are actually 3,000 years old. So something that's been around. And we think that's wonderful that they're still around and available for you and I to read all those years later. But when they were, this was written, everybody had DNA, everybody had fingerprints, but nobody could actually detect it. There was no way of detecting it. So what we really wanted was, look, is the best evidence that we had there. So I'm going to go and screen share again if I can and find the one I'm looking for, which is this one. And I hope you can see that. And it works. And this is the best evidence that they had in those times, was eyewitness evidence. It's still used now in courts all around the world because it's what people see. So it's what you see, what you hear, or what you touch, what you feel. And that's what eyewitness evidence is. I want to stop screen sharing again. And our little red book, as we've said, is what you see, what you hear, and what you touch, and what you feel. So in our screen share, if I can find it, it's right down here, and we'll share this one. If I can get that to go, that's better. It says and this is in John's letter at the end, John's letter, first letter, chapter 1, verse 1. And this is what he's saying: that which was from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen with our eyes, which we've looked at, and our hands have touched, this we proclaim concerning the word of life. They had been with the Lord Jesus. We don't need that anymore. And they'd seen his life, they'd seen his miracles, seen his death, seen him raised from the dead. And they thought that was so important as eyewitnesses of actually what they'd seen. They wrote these letters, they wrote these gospels, which we have today. And that's why we think it's very important. And in a sense, is evidence, it's wonderful evidence of the love of God towards you, which is why we think that it's very important that you have this little red book. I've got a big black one and I read it every day, but this red one goes in your pocket. It's very useful. Almost finished, but I just want to show you at the front uh, the where to find help. And in the front, there's a where to find help. So if you don't know your way around very well, there are some Bible verses that it can point you to. There's one here that says broken-hearted, but hopefully you're not broken-hearted. And there's another one that says bullied, but I'm sure there's no bullying going on in your school. But there are a couple of here that says feeling a failure or feeling let down, and sometimes we feel a failure, and sometimes we feel let down by other people. There we can read some verses in this little red book to help you. And there's one over here that works for me because it says old age. So that's your little red book. Please put your name and date in so it becomes uniquely yours. When you leave school, take it with you, and we hope it will be a blessing to you. Bye bye.